So today we are having the Speak on Screen final event. Speak on Screen is a workshop series that the European projects Rise Up and How Timely have organized together. And participants had a first session where they could discover audiovisual translation modalities such as dubbing and subtitling, and how they can benefit minoritized languages. And then they have a training on the How Timely platform, which is a self-learning platform which is being designed in the project How Timely. It's still in a piloting phase, so there were experimental participants, and of course it was very nice to be able to welcome people with many different languages from Europe, Jersey, Romanian, but also from overseas. We had Quechua participants, etc. And this was the big advantage of making it online. The downside is that it required a lot of autonomous work from participants, and I think not everybody was able to produce a translated short video. But I know that some participants committed to that and found the time and invested the effort to do so, and they will be able today to share with us their experience practicing audiovisual translation, and we will be able to watch together their productions. So I'm very happy to welcome Alex and Florentina today. I see their name, but I don't see their face. If you'd like to turn on your camera, Alex and Florentina, would be great. And I hope that you won't mind saying a few words about yourself and about your experience discovering translation, audiovisual translation, and translating these videos. Why do you choose this one, and how the process went? And then I can show your videos. I don't know who wants to start.
Hey, I will start. I'm Florentina. I'm from the Romanian community living in Romania. We are spread in several countries, Balkan countries. And the biggest part of our community is found in northern part of Greece, but also in some other countries like Albania, North Macedonia, Serbia, Bulgaria, and of course, Romania. Frankly, I chose the train because it was the shortest. And my free time didn't allow me to do more. Although I really wanted to try also the dubbing, but I chose only to subtitle this short video, the train. It was really nice for me to do this. It was not for the first time for me to do the subtitling. I tried before, but in a totally different way. I think this one was a faster possibility to subtitle, and yeah, I enjoyed a lot the process, and I hope for you also it will be a nice surprise to see the subtitles in Romanian language.
Thanks very much. I'm going to play the film just shortly. The Train is a short animation film created within the Talking Planet project, and animator Cathy Gatlow will be with us after for the roundtable. And it's a series of cartoons that aim to promote minority language learning among the youngest ones. And this one is about taking the train. The audio is in Polish, and it's titled in English and in a Romanian confluent. What do you want to say, Franklin?
I just want to add something. Yeah, I also choose the train because I'm particularly interested in offering subtitling and dubbing variants in Armenian language, because it's important to have all these things for early age children. So for children with small ages, yeah, this was the second reason why I chose the animation.
Thank you. So I'm gonna play it. Sorry, technical questions. If I play it from here, will it play?
Ara posarà un video subtitulat.
So it should work.
Un moment.
No.
Okay.
Cześć, jestem Mimi. Cześć, jestem Pip. Cześć, Mimi. Gdzie jest Momo? Gdzie jest Momo? Momo! Jest już późno. Momo się spóźnia. Spójrz. Spójrz. Tu, 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 tu. Tu, 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 tu. Tu, 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 tu. Tu, 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 tu. Spójrz, Momo. Spójrz. To Momo. Tu, tu. Cześć. Cześć, jestem Momo. Cześć, Momo. Mój pociąg. Pociąg Momo. Pociąg Momo. Mój pociąg. Wchodzę do pociągu. Wchodzę do pociągu. Nie. Stop. Dlaczego? Bilet. Proszę o bilet. To jest mój bilet. Twój bilet. Dziękuję. Mój bilet. Twój bilet. Dziękuję. Chodzę do pociągu. Chodzę do pociągu. Nie, nie, nie. Tutaj. Przepraszam. Chodzę do pociągu. Jedziemy. Tu, tu. Jedziemy. Tu, tu, tu.
Jedziemy.
Tu, tu, tu.
Jedziemy.
Jedziemy pociągiem. Tu, 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 tu. Stop. Dlaczego? Dlaczego? Walizki. Walizki. Wracamy. Tu, tu. Wracamy. Wracamy. Tu, 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 tu. Twoja walizka, Mimi? Tak. Moja walizka. Twoja walizka, Pip? Tak. Moja walizka. Chodzę do pociągu. Jedziemy. Jedziemy. Pa. Tu, tu. Tu, 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 tu.
Care este muito, Claudia? So this was, maybe you have catched a few words because we still had the subtitle in English and we couldn't learn some Polish, some Romanian, some English at the time. So it was really great. And if at some point you have time to do the dubbing too, then you will have same language subtitled short cartoon, which is very good for improving literacy in children and in anybody to hear the text and read it in the same language. So thank you very much, Florentina.
I will do that for sure.
Great.
I'm sure Shana will love it. The Romanian community has a wonderful 2-year-old girl who speaks fluent Romanian, and I'm sure she would love the train. She will love the train.
And now I think, Alex, it's your turn if you wish. If you can explain on what video you have translated, why you chose it, and how the process was in everything.
Of course. Good evening, everybody. My name's Alex. I'm from the UK originally. English is my native language, but I part of different communities in the UK with other lesser known languages. So I've been a learner of Cornish and Gerier, which is a Norman language spoken on the island of Jersey. And I've decided to use actually a film which was made by my cousin, who is from Shetland, in a group of islands between Scotland and Norway. And she has produced a video which is actually in the Shetland language. It's a mixed language. And I decided to subtitle the film into Gerier. I've decided to subtitle it, and I've worked. The course is fantastic, by the way. I've absolutely loved it, and it's been really useful for me. And I've been working on dubbing and voiceover in with the videos which were provided. However, for this video, I wanted people to hear the Shetland language spoken, and also to see Gerier written, because I think it's really important that these lesser known languages in the UK we have, and the British Islands, we have 9 languages there, and we hear a lot about Welsh or Scottish Gaelic, but we don't hear so much about the other languages which are also spoken in our communities. So that's why I've not dubbed or voiced over this one, so you can hear the beautiful language which is Shetland, and also see the beautiful language which is Gerier as well.
That's a fantastic choice, I think, that you made with this modality here.
Sorry, I should just say this is about the goddess Danu. Sorry, I didn't. This film is about the goddess Danu, who is a Celtic goddess of water, and also I think in other religions in Europe as well.
I'll give yours as we tuviera.
To begin with, all was darkness. There was nothing midder of all. Just the midder, she was down. Her body the earth, her spirit the heavens. Down over the world in darkness. While she knew it, she pictured all life in dreams. We heard the dreaming began. We pictured many different life forms. And while she dreamt, she spun a treat. Spinning was all in like a story. stories and dreams. Dreams and stories. The sang as je spent daar street. Daarom sang de world into being. Je oudste sangs into the muckle waters. Maken een muckle white draw there. Hidden more dreams. As the waters fall down them, listen to my life. Daarom harks to us through the water. Singing to us a life, death, and rebirth. The burns of her body and her veins have bleed. Then the water of life. Listen to her songs, she swim with her.
Thank you. This was absolutely wonderful to be able to hear one language and read the other. And while they might remind us of other bigger languages, they are so different. And you are right that the writing of Gerais is very, very special and very nice to read. So to see how the letters and symbols combine there. So thank you very much for sharing that. It was fantastic. I don't know if somebody of the you, Alex, or Florentina, or other workshop participants would like to add something about what we have just watched, or about your experience working on that. We should have a minute or two for more comments.
I just want to add that I am particularly interested in dubbing, as I said, because it's important to have these animations dubbed for small children to hear the language at an early age.
Yes, and it's true that you always have to choose your modality according to your aims. For example, for small children to learn the language, it's great to dub the video. On the contrary, if you want to make a language visible and heard, then the choice of Alex for this video is perfectly adequate, so we can hear the chat. And so we always have to think, what do I want? So what suits best my purpose as a translation method. Thank you.
Yeah.
And well, maybe as time is running, if nobody wants to add anything, we can move further to our roundtable. Just briefly say a word about the two projects that have organized this workshop, How Timely and Rise Up. How Timely is a more recent project. We have started in just about a bit less than a year ago, and we are now in the phase of offering this training. But we are not, in general, the project does not address the general public. It addresses teachers, so that we can have the use of audiovisual translation as a didactic activity in the classroom. So the project is a school partnership with three 3 universities, 3 schools, and Lingua Pax, the NGO. And I'm looking for a PowerPoint that I don't find, so let's explain in a few minutes. So yeah, the training, one part of the training may be used by anybody, just like we did in this workshop, and then the specific part on didactic applications, which will be implemented in partner schools in Ireland, in Sardinia, and in Catalonia, because our project was with 3 languages: Sardinian, Irish, and Catalan, which all have very different situations, but also similar issues. So we will find how to apply this methodology there. I can't show you the link, I don't have the PowerPoint, but now if you look for How Timely on Google, you will find us. And you can access also the training materials and everything, and contact also our team if you are interested. And the University of Roma Tres is leading the project, and DCU and University of Vic are university partners too. So now I'm gonna hand the microphone to Eva, who will shortly present Rise Up.
Thank you very much. I'm just waiting for a few slides to come up to introduce the Rise Up project, yes, which is a Horizon Europe project and a coordination and support action. And as you can see, unlike How Timely, who will fortunately have 2 more years ahead of them, we are coming to the end of our project. And next slide, please. These are the aims of Rise Up. The main aim is to promote linguistic ecologies and to support peaceful coexistence and multilingual expertise. Next one. These are our consortium partners, and I would like to highlight that we did a lot of cultural activities, especially with young people. And one of the organizations that was particularly active in this respect was Youth of European Nations, or short YEN, who participated in all events and also created some of the slides for this event. And it's great that, as we've already seen with this workshop, we have reached beyond the How Timely communities and have integrated communities like the Romanian community through the train video and also Guernsey, which is very important, and Julia Salabank is going to be very pleased about this. Okay. Thank you. We also have a resource collection, which you might want to visit on our website. Next slide. And we are developing a language learning app, which has gone live last Friday, and which can be expanded to other minority languages. Thank you. And these are just a few other events. And if you could just go to the last slide, one of them, these are what led up to the whole workshop. And one event, that the previous one, I would very much want to invite you to, which is the artist networking event, which is going to take place on the 20th of January at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, Central European time, in which we will tie together all the activities Rise Up did with artists. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And so now I think Monica Pereño will start with our roundtable.
Okay. Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for giving me the possibility to to moderate this roundtable. I think both projects are very interesting, and the link between both of them makes them still more interesting and more useful. I represent LinguaPax. LinguaPax is an NGO fostering language diversity all over the world. I've been working in language diversity for all my life, and I still it makes me emotional to listen to all these people speaking so many different languages, and I still wonder why some in the humanity are pushing all of us to this homogenization and leading all of us to develop all the creativity possible in so many languages to some very few of them. So, and in another side, there is so many people as well trying to keep on working and protecting and creating in their languages, that it's also a motive of joy to be part of this project. So, saying that, the topic of this roundtable is to analyze the benefits of audiovisual translation and accessibility to make possible that all these languages can flourish and be alive. It's from my point of view, translation is a magnificent tool to promote the use of all the languages in the world. It's a good tool, but it gives us the possibility to create in many other languages that otherwise would be confined in a very small territory or in a very small group of speakers. And if we have the translation, we can produce content in our language, and then to share it with the rest of the world. So we cannot have to go through and interpose language to show what we are able to do. So it has the two sides, as Florian said. In some cases, it's interesting to double because the audience is not able to read. Sometimes it's more interesting to subtitle because you can listen and you can see the music of the language. So up to everybody and up to any situation to do that. And also accessibility in other ways, not just the language barriers, we would say, but also other kind of barriers that translation can help to surpass. I'm happy to share this roundtable with some experts. It's a pity that one of them cannot join us today, Claudia Martins from the Instituto Politécnico de Granada, that she's sick, so she's not been able to join us today. But anyway, she was going to talk about the festival of the cinema festival, Accessible, but maybe Florian will be able to help us about accessibility. I will pass her some questions. The other members of the roundtable are Kadi Catlow from the stop motion animator Talking Planet, Maria Monroy Ferrer. She's a postdoctoral researcher in the Autonomous University of Barcelona and University Jaume I Castelló, and Enrique Uribe Jongol from the University of Cardiff, that is a vice leader of the Plurilingual Media Working Group, which is also another European project which are developing very interesting products. So I'm going to give the floor to them for that they can present and introduce themselves, which will be much better than me. So please, Kali Catlow, if you want to explain us what's your job and what are you doing in relation with this specific activity, please. You have the floor.
Oh, hello. Can you see me? Struggling very much.
Seems like your camera is open.
The mic is also muted.
Hello, can you hear me now? Is that okay? Hello? Can anyone hear me? Sorry about that. I'm in the middle of a storm. It's a very stormy night in Scotland. I'm very sorry. We've lost all the power. Yeah, so I'm Caddy Catlow, and I created Talking Planet in about 2019, and I did it for refugee children entering Belgium from Syria. They were entering school systems, and there wasn't enough Flemish language material to teach very young kids the sort of school-related language that they needed to get up to speed with things and settle in. So I was watching the children struggle for quite a while, and I just went back and I just made 3 little episodes about school language as a sort of language first aid kit, really, to try and help them settle in and sort of start to recognise the language that they needed, you know, water bottle and time to go home and this is your lunch and, you know, all these sort of things. And that worked really well. And then I shelved it for a little while, and then I moved to Canada and worked in some communities there who were trying to save their languages. There's like 60 odd endangered languages over there, and they were saying that we really want to have some materials, but we don't have anything. So I showed them my little Talking Planet thing for Belgium, and they said this is exactly what we want, but we want different storylines. We don't want school stuff. We want sort of family bonding sort of moments like bath time and cleaning of teeth and playing and things like that. So I went back and I made 5 more episodes, and they voiced it themselves, which I think is a very important thing. I think there's a certain sort of, a lot of people get materials thrown at them, and I think it's quite important that they make the materials with you. I think it's an important kind of difference. So we always actually work with the local kids, and so I made the first version. Then another group thought that that'd be really great. So now I just basically wrapped the 6th version this evening, getting the last one out. So it's just sort of slowly spreading across Canada at the moment. And yeah, it's been a very interesting and slightly accidental career that I've ended up in, because I'm not really a language person. I'm very much a kind of media person. So it's been a very interesting and steep learning curve, and I've met all kinds of interesting people. So thank you very much for inviting me to this.
Yeah, and one more question. What do you think are or what are the main barriers that you encounter in your work when working with?
I tend to have 2 main barriers. Mine are that the communities I work with are very time poor. There's usually only 2 or 3 people in the community who are having to do an awful lot of the work, a lot of the grant applications, a lot of the education things, a lot of the organising the elderly. There's so much work, and they are also in charge of language, but they don't have enough hours in the day to sort of dedicate to things. Oh, my light's gone out. I'm just going to be in the dark. I'm sorry. I'm in a power cut. Yeah, so that's one issue, is time. Another issue is I tend to work with very fragmented languages where they've been oral languages for a very long time, and then there's been a very strong sort of they've been sort of systematically sort of ripped out so that they don't really have any sort of language left. And what they do have is, you know, like one area speaks a little bit differently to another area, and there's lots of missing vocabulary, and so that takes a lot of time to kind of work with the communities with what language would you like and how would you spell it. And then it's that kind of, it's sort of working to support them in trying to make a decision on how to preserve the language in this particular project, because, you know, maybe this word has never been written down before, maybe they never had a word for this thing before, and it's that kind of process. It takes a very long time and a lot of collaboration, and as I say, we're working with communities who don't have a lot of time. So yeah, the one I've just finished now, I finished it last night. It took a year to get it done, and it's only 5 episodes. It took a whole year to get the language together. So it's just that kind of, it's very, very time consuming, basically. But yeah, the other thing I think also is that they aren't used to seeing their language attached to media projects. So there's a little bit of orientation early on about what they need to do, and yeah, it's just something that they haven't really had. So it's a very steep learning curve on both sides. So yeah, it's about being very, very sort of gentle and very careful and extremely flexible. I've worked with all kinds of different ways of doing it now. I think I can do it in 25,000 different ways. So yeah, so it's just that kind of building the trust, building the mutual understanding of the work process, and just being very, very flexible about missing vocabulary, missing and not having enough time, all of that. And the other thing is that the children aren't fluent, and we always use children, so we use voice coaches a lot, so the children basically parrot the elder. And what I tend to work with now is a lot of fragmented recordings where the child has said a little part of the word right, but not all of it. And then basically having a kind of jigsaw puzzle audio of, yeah, picking out all the little moments where the kids said the right things and, yeah, assembling everything. So that's a very, very time consuming process. But it's a very rewarding one. And yeah, I'm just constantly on the sort of, constantly looking to improve it, really, trying to make it better, trying to make it more accessible, trying to make it something that the communities can almost make themselves without me, really. So that's my next step, is to try and almost get myself out of the direct work process, because I feel like they should have the ownership over their own languages and the control over making their own materials. So I'm sort of drifting off into that kind of area at the moment, sort of just trying to support them in as many ways as I can. So I'm very, very rambly. It's pitch dark and it's very weird doing this conversation. I'm very sorry, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I will pass the floor to Maria Monroy. Maria, what can you explain about your research? What are you doing and why are you doing that?
Well, first of all, I would like to apologize for my hoarse voice. I'm not feeling very well today, but I'll do my best to stick with you to the very end. Well, at the moment, I'm working on a project about learning Catalan culture through virtual reality, and I'm also teaching in the translation and interpreting degree at the Universitat Jaume I. But for many years, I worked in international cooperation in Sao Tome and Principe in Africa. And there I focus on one of the local Creole languages, Foro or Sao Tome, which is traditionally associated with older people. And at the time, I was involved in a project aimed at elderly members of a community, many of whom live alone, face a strong stigma around poverty and disability and aging. They can even be accused of witchcraft with very sad consequences for them. They can even be murdered for this. So it's a very sad issue. And in order to connect the social and linguistic aspects, I organized 11 workshops in Sao Tome, in Foro, for children and elders of a particular community, with very simple equipment, just one laptop and one mobile phone. And the elders helped translate the script and perform the voices together with the children. We saw that the activity encouraged meaningful contact between different generations, and it also served to introduce the language to children in a playful way, because children can't really speak this language anymore. And this activity, I think it also offered elders a space where they felt useful and valued and visible.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if using these tools have strengthened the community ties, and if they have felt that the tools were useful to use to share their language. And you already said that, but this relationship between all members of the community and the young children, because in many endangered languages, there is a lot of difficulties of communication among elders and kids and young children. It has really worked using this kind of tools, especially with the elders.
Okay, it's important to say that I had one experience. To generalize in this issue, I think we should test it for many years so we can have an overview of a very long time. So we need to be very careful when we talk about this. But I can, I can tell you about my experience, what I've seen. Audiovisual translation is something playful for children, collaborative, and it also happens in a safe environment, both for elders and for the children family. And I think this makes it easy for people from different generations to work together. And also, these activities can give older people a central role because they bring the essential linguistic and cultural knowledge. Without them, we can't do anything, actually. And at the same time, children can also contribute by helping. And I think this interculturality is very important. Children can help with memory issues, with timing, with synchrony, or small technical aspects. And this creates a very natural exchange across generations, which I think it's very positive for them. And in fact, what I can say is that this workshop, in this workshop, some children even asked their grandparents to help them rehearse their lines, which ended up strengthening bonds within families themselves. And this is something that we didn't think about when we started in this project. And something very important that this activity also have is visibility. The final video can be shared online, allowing families, friends, and the wider community to watch it, recognize their voices, so they feel proud of the presence of their voices, and from the point of view of the elders of their language in audiovisual media. And I do think this helps normalizing its use, and it strengthens the sense of belonging in the community. And I think it can help to build better relationship between different generations. But because it's something they can all be proud of, because they all participate in different ways.
Okay, thank you, very interesting. Now I will give the floor to Enrique Uribe John Block. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. I would like you to explain us what's your background a little bit, and what is the work you are doing in the Pluralism Media Working Group.
Right. Yeah, hello to you all, and thank you very much for this invitation. Currently, I work as a research fellow for Media Cymru at Cardiff University, which is a program that fosters innovations in the media sector here in Wales, particularly including innovations that are for the Welsh language. My background, I have done research on audiovisual production in Welsh and other minority languages, including minority languages from Colombia. And now, as part of the Pluralism Media Co-Section, as vice leader in the Working Group 1, which focuses on audiences and digital content creators, what we're trying to look at is how younger people particularly are engaging with social media and with other forms of audiovisual distribution to create their own content in their own language. And we are trying to find different ways in which that is happening all across Europe. Mainly, that's what we're focusing on. But as I mentioned, since my background is also with indigenous languages in Latin America, to see what can be used or what can help also in the development of similar content creation in South America.
Do you know the experience of Global Voices, for instance, in South America?
Yes, definitely.
And have you had any connection with them? Global Voices is a project. I don't know if the rest of the audience knows that. It's a project that promotes the use of originary languages. It started in Bolivia, in South America, but it has spread around the world. They are also doing workshops in Africa and in Asia, and they are trying to put content on a platform in minoritized languages of all these continents. They usually do it writing content, but I don't know if you have been in touch with them and you have had any connection to promote the use of this audiovisual.
Yeah, we have engaged in contact with them, and they've participated in one of our workshops as well, because we're interested in these connections that bring together all the experiences of content creation in minority and minoritized languages. And obviously their experience mainly their experience that I'm aware of in Latin America is very good, and I've seen a lot of the projects that have come on the back of that with indigenous languages, particularly in Colombia.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that there are specific benefits of these modalities of audiovisual translation?
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, those are possibilities that allow for people to have access. I mean, it depends on various layers. When you think about it, it depends on how people are experiencing or in contact with other audiovisual production. I mean, the problem with minority languages in general is that they're constantly exposed to majority language content. And then there's many reasons for which the audiovisual translation into the minority language might be a way of showing that the language is equal in terms of relevance in the present, or it could be that what you're doing is creating content on your own that is more related to, I think, what Kadi was mentioning just a moment ago, that it's more culturally related to your situation. So you have both elements in balance. You want to have content that is considered to be now global, to be available in your language. So to get subtitling or dubbing into that local language, but you also want your own content to be available and to be able to share it and to create these connections. And that could be in a different way or with more related groups that are closer to your own, and then having these dubbing or translating within languages that are closely related in that sense.
Have you had any experience with oral languages that are not spoken?
Yes, and one of the main things is also because of the education that comes along with media. It's usually done through majority languages. So a lot of people in these minority language communities, in these indigenous communities, think that the way of creating their media content has to be following the experience of the majority language. So I remember working together with people from the Wayu community in northern Colombia and northern Venezuela, and they thought that they had to write scripts for their creation of audiovisual content. And when they wrote down the scripts, they wrote them in Spanish rather than in their own language, because they were not literate in their language. So because that's what they were taught that they had to do when they were creating radio shows of audiovisual products, that they had to go and do script in Spanish. So they were translating back and forth between their language and Spanish in order to create their content. So then after we had a couple of sessions in one of the workshops, it was really interesting for them to kind of restructure the way in which they created content and realize our language is mainly oral. We could create this scripts without the need for a written form, and that written form being Spanish. So without having to go through that process in which they were going back and forth between the languages. But it also shows that in the processes of developing content and in the technologies that we use nowadays, the technologies themselves carry with them a lot of structures that are embedded into a certain ideology or a certain worldview. And then for these languages in particular, then they navigate through the majority language or through the majority mindset in order to try to create their content. And it also creates an extra, let's say, burden for them to overcome in order to create their own content in their own language.
Yeah, I would be with you all the time, but I think that if we speak about how timely, I know that you all members of this roundtable are not teachers, maybe teach at the university, yes, but not literally in primary or secondary school. How do you think that these tools can be used, and how can they be useful for not only learning, but also to promoting the use of minoritized languages? Because minority, I don't like to use that word. All minoritized, all the languages are not bigger or small. They are minoritized usually. So you can start, but the other two can also follow up with this question.
Okay, if you ask me, one of the main things is when I was doing or conducting these workshops with indigenous peoples is having some form of content that they could work on is always very helpful for them to set their minds into the creation of their own versions. And the interesting thing was not to follow exactly, so necessarily doing a translation, a direct translation, let's say, of the content that we had seen, but for them to create their own stories with the elements that they had of the content that they could create. And that gave them also I would say it would show that it shows them that they can create this content on their own with the elements that they have at hand. So that the technology that they have at hand at the moment allows them to create that content, and that helps them pass on information as well. One of the main things was the younger generation had lost a lot of the vocabulary for things in the Wayuu community. And one of the things that this process of doing kind of creating their own content generated was that they would phone up or get in contact with the elders to try to get the concepts back, to get those words back into their day-to-day language and use it in these little productions. So it was interesting because it also created this bond, of valuing the knowledge of the elders in the use of the language whilst they were applying their knowledge of these new digital technologies. And that created that connection that was, as I think was mentioned also by Kadi before, that had been lost in the intergenerational transmission of the language.
And Kadi or Maria, do you have something to add, or do you want to comment something on using these tools in schools?
Yeah, I completely agree with Enrique. Audiovisual translation offers a completely different setting for learning. This is very attractive for especially for children, and also for others as well. And it can be very easily adapted to the participants' language levels, and it stays online. I mean, it can be lasting, it can be shared, and it allows both written expression and speaking, depending on what you choose to do. It can be adapted to formal and informal environments. Doesn't require too much technical equipment or knowledge. So yes, I really do think it has a lot of potential in learning context. And I also want to highlight that sometimes in the context of minoritised languages, we give up before even trying, because we think we don't have the necessary resources to, for example, consider doing a dubbing project. But I think, and that's what we can say from our experience, I think that in some contexts, the real question might be, what can we do with what we have? And that question sometimes can lead us to very interesting places.
Kadi, are you still here? Or the cat power has taken you?
No, sorry. I got a little bit of power back, which is great. Yes, I'd like to agree with both of those points. I think to start with, I think it's very important. How I tend to work with the communities is we do have a written script, but what we tend to say is, what would you say in this situation? Like, this is what we would say, we're speaking English, but what would you say here? And they almost kind of rewrite the whole script themselves, which is, I think, a very important thing. We also have that child-elder relationship where the elders work with the children to create the episodes, and it does create a very strong bond within the communities, which is amazing. in the schools, they tend to be made for the younger children, but I've been told by quite a few people now that a lot of the Talking Planet things seem to be used more for the older kids who don't maybe find it, they've got some kind of resistance or some sort of barrier to engaging with their language. So Talking Planets are quite often now used to kind of bring in the kids that feel maybe a little bit embarrassed about saying something, or it kind of breaks the ice a little bit in the language lessons. So they tend to use them now with the kind of 14, 15, 16-year-old cool crowd, the ones that are a little bit nervous, and it overcomes that kind of barrier and gets them kind of a little bit more loose and able to engage with other things. And the other group that I wasn't expecting to reach when I was doing Talking Planet was actually the parents, because the elders have the language quite often in the communities I work with, and the children are getting access to modern language tools, but the parents don't. They're the gap in the middle that don't really have very much, and they're being given a lot of sort of language resources, but they don't have the confidence to pronounce them, and there's a little bit of a difficulty there. So having something that's playing in the background, they can sort of get comfortable with the sound of the language, the rhythm of the language, what it means. They can start to have little dialogues with their kids, even if they're just parroting a little bit of the episode or something. So it starts to get the language inside the house. And I think that's been a very key thing that I've been watching, is a lot of the language learning is based in the schools, and being able to have digital projects means that they can access them at home, and it brings language back into a house that maybe didn't have it in the first place, which I think is very, very valuable. And also there's lots of communities that are quite fractured. So the elders live on the reserves or in their actual traditional areas, but maybe their children and their grandchildren are now living in cities miles away, and they just don't have access to that kind of language and immersion anymore. So being able to have digital access to things like that I think it's a very good way of keeping some kind of consistency going. Because I was talking to one of the elders in the community in Canada, and she was saying that she gets her grandkids over in the summer, and she tries to push as much language into them as she possibly can in 6 weeks, and then they go home, and then they come back again next year, and she has to do the same language all over again, because they lose it over the year. So this is where the value of any digital project, I think, has that value of being able to share it and being able to, share it around the world and sort of bring communities back together again that have maybe been fractured by, employment reasons or, whatever else, other sort of pressures on the community. So I just think I think it's kind of early days using digital media in this sort of a way, but I think there's lots of exciting ways we can go with it. And yeah, just thank you very much for letting me lather on, really. But thank you. I'll let you go and talk to somebody else, because thank you.
Yeah. And one more question to all of you. Maybe I start with Florian this time, because we have been talking about minority languages, but we have not mentioned the sign languages, which is also a minority language and also a minoritized language. And there are sign languages in minoritized languages, so they are double minoritized. How do you think these tools can help to provide help to these people that need this kind of support, especially for sign languages, sign languages, or the audio description for people who cannot see? Yes, see.
I think here it's, as you said, there is a very big difficulty for people who are have sensorial impairment, who are deaf or who are blind, because they are double minoritized. If they speak a minoritized language, and they are a minority with sensorial diversity. And as you said, sign language is a minority language within the minority language. And same for people who don't sign but who need accessible subtitles to read what's going on screen. Accessible subtitles, as you know, transmit what is said, but also the sound, the music, etc., to provide people who don't have access to the audio with all the relevant information.
Yeah.
And audio description for the blind provides a description of the images. And these services are quite scarcely available in majority languages, and so they are even less in minoritized languages. In Catalonia, where I'm based, we cannot complain because they are quite developed. The national television was pioneer in implementing accessibility modalities, but in other regions where there is no official recognition of the language, it's even more difficult to have this access. It would have been very nice to have Claudia here tell us about an accessible film festival in Marrambiz, a Portuguese minoritized language, but we will have to read about it. And so what it can bring to the communities here is that they don't have to go to a majority language to enjoy the audiovisual product. They can have it accessible in their own minoritized language. So that's better way of enjoying media for speakers. And then if we think about education, I think here what's very valuable at a didactic level is that these are same language translation modalities. And when you have accessible subtitling, you have to write it in the same language as it's spoken, plus add the indication, or audio description describes the images in the language of the film. So if you're working in a minoritized language, students who produce audio description or accessible subtitles will work on their language at quite an advanced level. So it's very interesting. And another added value that's very important with this kind of activities is raising awareness, I think, about diversity, functional diversity in society. And it's quite important, as we found by implementing some project, that it was very relevant to confront students with this reality, because actually usually they don't know any blind people. So if you practice audio description, you talk about blindness, and then they discover a reality that should be part of an inclusive society, but is not really so known. So I think it can bring at a linguistic level a lot, and for the well-being of persons who can enjoy media in their own language, and finally for the cohesion of society and inclusive societies. That would be the two things I think that are important when we consider accessibility in minoritized languages.
You have said a word, for me a key word, the well-being of minoritized language speakers. Have you experienced, the question is for anybody who wants to ask, have you experienced any activity, any experience, any even conversations with speakers of minoritized language saying how good are these, the possibility of using their languages through these tools have had for them?
Not yet.
Not yet. No, anybody? Enrique, if you raised your hand, please go ahead.
Yeah, well, in different cases and different communities, I have seen that people using minoritized languages, and particularly, as was mentioned, doubly minoritized languages, such as people who require audiovisual description, have definitely mentioned how that is a difference. I remember in a conference that we held in Colombia in 2016, there were many discussions about how people could now gain access to having this audio descriptions directly into their phones, for instance, if they wanted to watch a film. Now, mind you, not many films had signed up for doing that, but just the possibility of having the ability of using your phone to provide you with that connection so that you could listen to an audio that is enhanced to give you a better experience. And they had videos of just showing people and how they changed, how they reacted. And I have seen it with in people in the indigenous communities when they see their own creations or their own products being developed, and how they feel like it's a whole different thing. It's a world that they sometimes have felt that has also pushed them away, that they're not part of. And then suddenly their language is there with the needs that they have for the use of the language. So in some cases, it might be that subtitling can do that because subtitling could add extra information for people. In some other cases, it might be that you need audiovisual description so that people who have any difficulty accessing the content could have access to it in a different way. And I've seen it also now with video games as well, and how video games try to incorporate that into their creations as content. So I have seen how people in those minoritized situations have really experienced a change in how they can access something that for them seemed to be so distant, that seemed to be unachievable. And this could be either a linguistic barrier because it was not available in their language, or it could be a barrier of other types of accessibility, as has been mentioned. And yeah, the change in people and the reaction of people when they have access to that content in their language and in a way they can access it, it's just amazing.
Thank you. Any other comments from Kari or Maria?
Could I ask whether it's a question about just generally sorry, I'm going to start again. Sorry. I have actually, because I'm actually on the front line quite a lot. I actually work with the communities. I don't do the academia side of things very much at all. I tend to work directly with the people who are working on these projects with me, and I've had quite a lot of conversations, generally with the elders, actually, who some of them have cried, to be honest, saying that they wish they could have seen some media in their own language when they were kids. Like they were invested in making this stuff for their grandchildren because this was what was missing for them. And yeah, they were saying how powerful it was to actually turn on the TV and watch something in their own language. Like it just had never happened to them before. Like it just didn't exist. I'm talking about very, 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 they were extremely rare languages. Some of them only had like 20 speakers, so there was very little. And yeah, they were almost in tears, saying this is really powerful for us. And it just makes me sort of feel like I should be trying to do a better job, and trying to do more for them and trying to make a higher quality thing, because the impact is huge. And I think if you come from a culture where media is automatically accessible, it's automatically in your language. If you need it in another major language, it's very easy to find subtitles to do that. If you don't have that, it's being able to bring that into a community is a very, very powerful thing. And I think the digital side of things is really exciting in that way, that translations are starting to get easier, sharing things is getting easier, bringing communities together to make these things is also getting easier. And I just think there's a lot of excitement around it in the communities I'm working with. And I've not heard anything negative at all. Everyone's been extremely excited, and they just want to make more of it, basically. So I work with any of the sign language sort of. I have not done any of that at all, so I can't really comment on that. I wish I could do a bit more with that, but in the future maybe. But yeah, just from what I've seen, very, very excited people, and very just being able to make it themselves, watch it themselves, share it themselves. All of that is very empowering, and I just feel it's very, very much it's very worthwhile project to do. So I'll stop talking now. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria, if you want to add something, if not, as you can see, this project really can be used in many different contexts, as you can see. I was just thinking right now, maybe some of you have had already experience, but I was thinking about Wikimedia. How useful could be all these tools that we are trying here and developing here to put content on this new project. Wikipedia is the largest encyclopedia in the world. Now they are developing the Wikimedia with oral content. So these tools could be really interesting and useful to promote and to encourage all lesser used languages to put content on this large encyclopedia. So you that are the experts, the members of the roundtable, what do you think about that?
You're asking us.
No. But you can contribute. Any of the members here of the two projects can also intervene.
I must say I was not familiar with Wikimedia, but I imagine it can be very useful to know about audiovisual translation to contribute, and it can be very interesting as a didactic project because you could contribute to make Wikimedia grow with activities that you conduct with your students. And one of the big problems that we encounter when working with audiovisual content is that it's submitted to copyright. So maybe we can work in class, but we can never show off what we have done if it's material with copyright. And with such Creative Commons material, of course, students see the results of what they have done there in the cloud, in the Wikimedia. So it's motivating because it's a concrete assignment then to
a real task.
Yeah,
no?
a real
For-
task.
for-
Exactly, that's
for
the
class.
term. So
For classes. Yes.
I think this is a very good idea because one example is, for example, the Great Tongue community who has been using Wikipedia a lot in order to create content and to also create a corpus, because one other thing that is really, really important for minority languages is to create as big a corpus of the language as possible. Of course, Wikipedia is a written corpus, whereas Wikimedia would have the oral component. And I think we've seen today how important the oral component is. So absolutely crucial. And of course, then the next step would be text to speech and speech to text. And if we have Wikimedia as an oral medium, they can be transcribed, and then we would hopefully start closing the loop.
Yeah, that is good, but yeah, it's a very good opportunity. I think there is going to be maybe in February, if I remember well, in Paris, there will be one big meeting of Wikimedia with all content producers, oral producers. So maybe we can just explore and offer our tools. It is not that February for the next marathon when the project is coming to an end. Dear colleagues, do you have something to add before we close the session today? Because we are finishing our time. It has been really a pleasure and very interesting comments and expertise that you have shared with us. So if you have any final comments, or do you want to point out something specific before we finish, please go ahead. Otherwise, I hope we can meet somewhere else. Hopefully not online, but personally. And thank you very much for your contributions and for all the work you are doing in your specific jobs. Thank you very much. Hello.
So thank you. I think I opened the session, but now Monica has closed the roundtable, and I think we can close this event. I would like to thank again Florentina and Alex for working so hard on their production and sharing them with us, and Enrique, Maria, and Cali for participating in this roundtable and enriching our knowledge on media and on minoritized language, and sharing so many different aspects on what has been done, what can be done, and actually give kind of a very hopeful perspective on all the possibilities that are open. Thank you.